Today we will start the loop instructions in assembly language. So we will be concerned about only for loop in assembly. Okay, so firstly we will be comparing the instructions in C language and instructions in the assembly language. Okay, so here is the for loop in the C language, and basically I'm going to convert this C language code into the assembly code, okay, step by step. So we know that I have some variable 0 in which I will be adding the looping index. So for that purpose, what I'm taking in assembly code, I am taking this EX register. I'm moving this 0 into the EX register, that is sum equals 0. It's just like EX equals 0. And next I know that for the sake of loop I need some looping index, right? In C it is I, and in assembly I'm taking that looping index as some other register. You can see I'm taking that as EPX register, and I'm moving this 0 into the EPX because it is starting from 0 index. And here it's the start of my loop. Inside this label, this is basically label, some variable name, and this colon represents a label. Inside this label, these are the statements inside the label. What I'm doing, I'm comparing. This CMP means comparing these two values, these two operands. I'm comparing EPX with 10. What is my EPX value right now? It is 0. I'm comparing the 0 with 10, and if this EPX is greater than 10, then this JG instruction will execute. And what is meant by this? It means jump if greater. We have to jump to this specific label only in case that this above the result of this destination index is greater than the source index. We know that this is destination, this is the source. So when this instruction is going to execute, only when the result of this compare instruction, or you can say the this EPX of this compare instruction is greater than the 10. Okay, this stage is just like you can say conditional jumps. Okay, conditional structures, conditional statements in assembly, and we have to check some conditions, and that particular condition is this compare. What we get as the result of this instruction, that is right now my EPX is what? It is 0. So if we compare 0 with 10, I get to know that my destination is less than my source. It means that this instruction is now false. This cannot execute. My you can say my assembler will not go to this label, but what it will do, it will skip this particular jump instruction and it will start executing from the very next instruction. Okay, and my next instruction is add EX comma EPX. This is just like this one. I'm adding these two values, and right now my result is storing in sum, and for sum I'm taking this EX. So here my result is saving in the EX register, and this whole executed just once. And with this loop L, what I'm doing, you can say I'm again sending the control to this L label. Means that again I'm executing these statements, then again I'm executing these statements just like this. But you can see here I'm using this I++, but I have not written this EBX increment in EBX anywhere. So I'm not actually writing this code exact because this code is not going to run anyway. Okay, why? Because what I'm doing, I'm using this EPX register for the sake of looping, right? Here we have I, here we have this EPX, but we have to know that how this for loop actually works in the assembly. There is some particular register for that purpose. You cannot use EX, EBX, CDX, whatever you want. You cannot use in like that. Okay, so we can see the working of for loop by the next slide. That is, the code we have just seen won't actually work on the IDE because of EPX being the looping index. Okay, it cannot work with other registers except E6 register. So the requirements are: the loop index must be stored in the E6 register only. The loop index must be decremented. This loop index cannot increment. Like here we know that our loop index in C language increments, but in assembly we cannot increment our loop value. It will just decrement, and the loop will be decremented automatically. And in case of, for the sake of decrementing our loop, we have to know that we have to start the loop in reverse order. Only then this is possible. Then the loop exits when index becomes 0. Okay, here's some example of this in high level language. This is the reverse of the previous for loop. Why reverse? Because we have seen that you can say that here we have seen that the loop index must be decremented, right? So here I'm writing the high level language code also in that ways. Although we know that high level language can also work with the forward loop, reverse loop, both cases, but assembly will only work in the reverse case. Okay, so because I'm translating this high level language into this assembly language code, so I'm using the as it is reverse loop. Okay, I'm starting my looping index from 10, and you can assume that this sum variable is initialized, declared and initialized with 0. So this EX is just acting like my sum variable. I am initializing it with 0 to remove some garbage values, and it is my, you can say, the looping index. I am moving 10 in it. Why? Because my loop has to start from 10, because we know we have to start our loop in reverse order. Okay, and from this particular statement my loop is going to execute. Okay, so this is part of my loop. Right after entering loop, the very first thing we have to do is to check the condition. That is, we have to check the compare instruction. We have to use this instruction. I'm comparing E6 value with 0. Why I'm doing this compare? Because here you can see, is this I greater than 0? This is a sort of comparison. I'm comparing I with 0, that if the instruction is greater than 0, then of course my, you can say that this is going to execute. But if this, you can say that my instruction is out of this particular range, if my instructions goes like in negative or anything like that, then this particular instruction is not going to execute. Just in this particular range the instruction can execute, right? So just like that, here we also have to use some condition that will you can say that that will finish our loop. Otherwise, if we don't use this condition, I will just say this and this, and loop will continue, right? It will just carry on continuing. We have to check this condition to know where we have to stop our loop. Okay, so I'm comparing this 0 with ECX. Right now, what is my ECX value? My ECX is 10, right? I'm comparing 10 with 0 is, and here you can see this JZ, it means jump if greater. If greater, then we have to jump where? We have to jump at the end label. This is my end label, which states to just exit. But this will only execute if this, you can say, if this my ECX instruction, ECX register is becomes 0. Why it should be 0? Because you can see from here that we only have to jump if it is 0, but we see from here that my ECX is not 0, it is 10, which means that I can easily, my assembler will easily ignore this statement for now, and it will execute the very next statement, and then it will add the value of EX and ECX just like this thing, and the result will be stored in the EX register. After you can say that the loop executes once, we have to execute the loop 10 times. But here you can see I'm saying I minus minus, but here I'm not doing this ECX minus minus or decrement ECX. Why? Because ECX will be auto decremented. This first time the value is 10. Now again, when this control will go back to this loop, it will become 9, then it will become you can say 8, then 7, then 6 automatically. Okay, and here you can see I'm writing this loop L. Basically it must be not, here we have to use this I have used this L, so here also I have to use only L, not loop. It is by mistake. Okay, my loop, you can say my label name is L because I'm calling it with L, so you can write L over here only. Okay, so this is how we execute the high level language for loop in the assembly language. Okay, this comparison is quite important. Why I'm doing these two statements? Because I have to end my loop somewhere, that if the ECX becomes 0, then we don't need to execute these two statements again. If the ECX becomes 0, because we know the step by step, first 10, it will be 10, then 8, and 9, 8, 7, 6, just like that. The moment it becomes 0, it will just ignore these two statements and will go to the end label. Okay, so that's how it works. And lastly, we are taking another simple example that we have to print high 5 times. It means I can see from here that I'm going to move the value 5 in ECX. Why? Because I have to run my loop 5 times. Okay, this is my string high with the variable name message, and then I'm moving this 5 into the ECX, and inside my loop, inside my L label, the label name can be any name. Okay, but it must finish with the colon. Okay, and the value of the looping index must be set before this label, not inside the label. Okay, just before, outside the label. Inside the loop, what I'm doing, I'm moving this message offset into the EDX. Why? Because we know already very well from the previous lectures that this is how we write any string on the screen. The offset of this string is moving into the EDX, and then by calling the write string procedure, it will be displayed on the screen only once. Then loop L, what it will do, it will send my control again to this L label, not on here, just this particular L label, inside this label. Then it will again execute this statement, means high will be written second times, then again it will go over there, high will be executed 3 times, then 4, then 5, and it will stop. Why? Because we know that the ECX register, you can say that it decrements automatically. It will be 5, 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, 0, then automatically it will come out of the loop. Or you can also use the compare instruction over here, like we have done over here, that compare ECX with 0. When it will become 0, we have to come out of the loop. So you can do the same thing over here. So that's it for today. I hope you got it. So thank you.